My name is Aubrey Urian with Urian Motorsports. Today I'm going to go over how I supercharged this Cummins diesel. Um, when I went to get started on this, there's very little information about how to do it, um, what was required, what size turbocharger, what size supercharger, um, whether you should put the supercharger first in the system or the turbocharger first in the system, and whether to run bypass valves. So I'm going to give you the information that I have learned. Um, this is not the only way to do it. Might not be the best way to do it, but I can tell you it works really well. This is the build behind me here. It has a 3.3 liter Whipple 200R on it. The R designation means that the uh, intake comes out of the top of the supercharger. Um, I put the supercharger first in the system because it didn't make sense to do it the other way. Everybody that I found that did it that way had issues with it. Um, if the supercharger's first, then it's taking the free air, blowing it into the turbocharger. At idle, you're boosting about 8 psi. That's with a 2.75-inch pulley on it. You're boosting about 6 to 8 psi at idle. Um, and what ends up happening is to have a well-balanced system, you want to have it so that supercharger is barely running at high RPM, so it's not creating parasitic draw, because superchargers are not as efficient at high RPM as turbochargers are. So you want the turbocharger doing all the work at high RPM and the supercharger doing all the work at low RPM. So by putting the supercharger first, when the turbo kicks in, it's sucking that air right out of the supercharger. Supercharger is running about 1 to 2 psi of pressure at the high RPM, which is perfect. It's not creating parasitic draw, and it's also not restricting the flow of air into my turbocharger. In this case, I didn't need a bypass valve. There's a couple different things that you can do. Is you could install a bypass valve that would operate off a vacuum. So you would have a vacuum hose that went between the turbo and the supercharger, and if there was a vacuum there, that bypass valve would open. Another option is to run a check valve. You can find them online anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, and you could put a check valve in there. It's a one-way valve that allow air to come in if the turbocharger ever creates a vacuum, but when it's boosting, it'll block closed. That is what I would do if I was running into issues with there being a vacuum between the turbocharger and the supercharger.
Here are 3 possible configurations with check valves or bypass valves. As I noted previously, I am not using any check or bypass valves in my system.
I have a 200R Whipple supercharger, and I have a Phat Shat 62 turbo. That's industrial injection, Phat Shat 62, with a 12 centimeter exhaust housing. Now, in this case, I'm getting a little bit high drive pressure at the higher RPM, so I'm probably going to go to the Silver Bullet 64, which will give me a 14 centimeter exhaust housing and a larger turbine wheel, which will allow more exhaust gas to escape. Um, and it'll give me a bigger compressor wheel, which will boost a little bit higher. So back to the orientation of the supercharger and the turbocharger. You could potentially set it up so that the turbocharger is blowing into the supercharger. I think it's a mistake to mount it that way, because what you're going to end up doing is it's going to work fine at idle. Your turbocharger is barely going to be working. It's not really going to be restricting the flow terribly to the supercharger. Supercharger will be boosting. But at high RPM, what's going to be happening is your turbocharger is going to kick in, and now your turbocharger is feeding highly compressed air into your supercharger. And then your supercharger has to work really, really hard to compress already super dense air even more, and that's going to create parasitic draw. There was a video put out recently by Gale Banks where he had them set up that way, and he found that every time he put I think he was putting a larger pulley on the supercharger, making it so that he was turning down the amount that the supercharger was working, and he was getting more horsepower out of it. And that was because he had two turbos, because he was working with a V8. He had one on each exhaust manifold that were pumping all this compressed air into that supercharger, and then that supercharger in turn had to compress that dense air, and it was creating so much parasitic drag on the engine that it was causing it to lose horsepower. So I think this is the way to go. So, do this at your own risk. I don't want to be responsible for anybody blowing up their engine or anything. This is just how I chose to do it.
All right, here's the supercharger up close. This is a direct drive supercharger. There's no drive snout on it, and it has the shortest pulley that I could find, which was, I believe, off of a Ford Lightning. I had to keep it as compact as possible because, as you can see, I'm very close to my fans in the back there. Now, this engine has a 188/220 cam, I believe. Has the upgraded valve springs and 5x14 injectors and upgraded delivery valves, and the head has been ported. And as you can see over here, I've machined the intake off and created my own intake, which has a lot higher flow. So this may not be exactly the same for your engine as it is for mine, but for mine, with 2.75-inch pulley, this boosts about 6 to 8 psi at idle. Now, I'll show you some clips here of the mounting brackets. Here's the supercharger mounting plate, and you can see the brackets in the background. This is it mounted to the supercharger with the pressure sensor installed. This is the supercharger intake, and this is the intake for the side of the block. Yeah. Now, in here, it's pretty tough to see, but you can see there's a big blue elbow that comes directly out of the bottom of the supercharger and into the turbo. The bracketry is pretty simple here. It's just a simple steel bracket with belt tensioner. I put this pulley in here because I was getting a little bit of vibration on the belt between the crankshaft and the alternator. Then there's a bracket in the back here that mounts. Let's see if I can get in here so you can see it. Yeah, that's about as good as you're going to get. Mounts right on the top of the exhaust manifold and bolts to the bottom of the supercharger bracket. The supercharger bracket has slots in it so that it can slide back and forth, so I can get the belt aligned perfectly. There you can see that stainless steel tubing is for my drive pressure sensor, and then the other one is my EGT probe. If you're going to do any serious hauling, if you've got a really hopped up truck with 200 horsepower plus injectors or a built pump or something like that, you may want to consider a slightly larger supercharger and a slightly larger turbo. And then you can adjust the pulley size until you get it dialed in just right. But I can't really speak to that because all I have to go off of is what I've done, and it seems to work pretty well for this rig. But I'm not going to be pulling very heavy with it. I mean, it's around 5,000 pounds. So if you're towing trailers and hauling hills with it, and you've got a lot of horsepower, you may want to bump up one size.
All right, so that's it. That's just a quick and dirty video of my Twincharge build here. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll be happy to try and answer them if I can, and I'll tell you if I can't. So, again, this is just how I did it. I can't guarantee that your results will be the same, and I am not a professional or certified in any way, shape, or form to be giving automotive advice. These are my opinions only. I am sponsored by Whipple. I think they make a good product. I've been really happy with it. Um, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So please like, subscribe, share with friends, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching.